Well, good morning everyone, and welcome to my video presentation, Designing for the Audience and Engagement, Narrative/Theme, presented by Omar Lamy. The learners teaching and interaction. For this, the subject will be science unit, classifying animals, and learners third grade. And the teaching and interaction, given the changes in school schedule because of COVID-19, I really envision a hybrid learning experience for these early years learners, where they will be able to cover the content in the following weekly meeting times and schedule: two 40 minutes face-to-face cooperative learning classes for lab activities, and two 30 minutes of online classes meeting synchronously via Zoom, and then a single 30 minutes asynchronous individual learning activity. Now, the area of study possible content that I want to focus on is really centered on animal classification. And at this grade level, young learners will focus on the understanding that one of the easiest ways for scientists to study animals is to organize them into groups and sort them based on what they have in common. Animals either belong to a group known as vertebrates, meaning they have a backbone, or to another group known as invertebrates, meaning they do not have a backbone. And of course, there will be a learning video, or videos rather. And this one is interesting that I found on YouTube, entitled Animal Classification. And as far as learner engagement participation is concerned, mobile technology will form a part of the means of student engagement. In this regard, Woodhill 2012 found that gathering research using mobile devices is an active and valid learning activity because learners must engage in the real world in which they are immersed, using their mobile phones or tablets to record and send interesting information. Thus, for use and application for a third grade science lesson on animal classification, this lesson unit will engage students with collaborative learning activities as well as individual projects. And the teaching environment will be an immersive one, with the use of mobile and cell phone technology, for example, to help students connect their learning in the classroom with their real world experiences. I really want the learning to come alive, and as they in this regards, they'll be able to take parts of what they will be learning in the classroom and learn more about them in the real world because of the use of these kinds of technologies. Now, the 3 points underpinning this science unit is based on O'Connor et al. 2014, and this is really where the theory will be put into practice, how I will be using the findings of this research to bolster this teaching activity. Now, the 3 points that I find relevant to the science teaching unit on animal classifications are the use of visual, audio, and video material or multimedia. That's the first one. The second one is simulations and virtual environments. And lastly, the third one is assessment, evaluation, and research that are ongoing, explicit, and custom or tailor-made for the students, perhaps. Now, the use of visual, audio, and video material or multimedia Understanding the role of visual, audio, and video materials in teaching and learning and assessment process is particularly important to the ways in which educators can engage students with the use of technology for e-mediated instruction, for example. Neither the teacher nor the textbook ought to be the reservoir of all the knowledge that students will engage with, simply because students must be able to investigate and form their own conclusions, albeit with the assistance of their teacher or a more knowledgeable peer. Hence, access to multimedia becomes paramount for learners. Now, simulations in virtual environments. There are times when physically being in the field is not possible, and even when possible, it's not always immediately doable and requires a considerable amount of planning. In these instances and others, teachers must always seek to engage their students with the use of virtual and simulated environments to create interactive, authentic, social, and complex environments, depending on the choice they make and the design that they employ. And I got this information from O'Connor et al. And examples of these are, the use of webinars, Google Hangouts, Skype, that goes beyond the geography to expand both learning and instruction opportunities, or programs, for example, Second Life. Now, assessment, evaluation, and research, ongoing, explicit, and custom. Assessment, evaluation, and research that are continuous, specific, and tailored are very much pertinent to a third grade science unit on classification of animals. For example, my assessment strategies will be A, formative, focusing on what, how much, how well students learn what was intended, as in the content, and this will guide my efforts in providing either extended learning for students who have mastered the content, or enrichment for those experiencing challenges or gaps in their knowledge, skills, or behavior. And B, summative, as a means of post-learning assessment, which focuses on assessing learning by comparing already existing competencies to that of students' achievements, as I seek to measure their academic proficiencies at the end of a curriculum unit by comparing it to curriculum standards. And C, embedded. This is where I'll be utilizing existing student coursework as both grading instrument as well as data in assessment of students' learning outcomes. Additionally, I will continuously research best practices for assessment, evaluation, and ways in which I can tailor these for each student's learning needs. And lastly, my reference. I hope this presentation got to the point, and thank you so much for viewing.